Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Esquire Coaching Radio, where we help attorneys achieve unparalleled personal and professional success. And now here's your host, Ann Jenrette Thomas.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Esquire Coaching Radio. It's such a pleasure to be here with all of you tonight. As you know, Esquire Coaching is a coaching and consulting firm that is dedicated to helping attorneys achieve extraordinary whole life success. And to that end, we discuss the full range of topics from building business to getting a job to work-life balance and everything in between. Well, tonight is one of those special nights where we're talking about a topic that I think a lot of lawyers tend to shy away from or may be intimidated by, and it's called listening to your soul for success. We have with us a phenomenal guest who has been a personal support to me, and I just can't wait to introduce you to Jennifer Urezzio. First, let me just ask, what if you had a true partner on your journey towards success, someone who would be there to guide you, forewarn you of trouble, and make sure that you are on the right track? Well, you do. It's your soul. As lawyers, we've learned to value our minds and logic and largely have stopped paying attention to, or at least valuing, our souls. Failing to connect with our spiritual side can lead to unnecessary suffering and lack of fulfillment. Today, Jennifer Urezzio, who is the founder and spiritual director of Soul Languages and the author of the recent book, Soul Language, Consciously Connecting with Your Soul for Success, is here to help you become more integrated. She's going to teach us how to listen to our soul and achieve greater success in doing so. Jennifer specializes in helping people connect to themselves, to each other, and to the divine. And she founded this new paradigm called Soul Language, which provides guidance for understanding your true nature and tools for accessing deeper levels of awareness. This new insight into how the soul expresses itself is helping people recognize their purpose and live from a place of power and truth. And I can testify to that because I have used her languages both for me personally and in my business. And Jennifer, without any further ado, welcome.
Oh, God, Ann, thank you so much. Really choked up. You know, what a lovely introduction, and it means so much coming to someone who is just so heart-based and just so in their zone. So thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here.
Oh, my God. It's our honor. I'm so excited you're here. I'm so excited to bring this topic up to a population that really needs it. And I don't know if you saw the post that I placed on Facebook about the CNN article talking about the high suicide rates among lawyers. And I really believe that today's topic is one way to circumvent this really serious problem.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know,
so,
and
before
I hear so often, and I know several lawyers that have had that kind of epiphany or awakening of, oh my God, there's something more here. And I want everyone to know that it's not an either or. They don't have to give up their love of the law or what they love to do in order to be more full and be more awake or experience a deeper life. It's not either or. You can listen to your soul and you can have the current life that you already have. In fact, I believe listening to your soul is going to make all of that current stuff in your life better, more joyful, more peaceful, easier. So there's my little soapbox for tonight.
I like it, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. So before I dive into the questions, I just want to remind our listeners that there will be time at the end of this call to ask Jennifer questions. Simply call 347-838-8719 and press 1 to get in the queue. I'll repeat that number later. All right, Jennifer, so why do you feel it's important for us to connect and listen to our souls?
You know, I think we're doing it anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether we're fully conscious of it or not, we are always in this connection with our soul, our higher self, intuition, however you want to name it. Even the most logical of us still has that sudden knowing. They know, everyone can give an example of when they thought about someone and they ran into them or they called or whatever the case may be. I think it's really important to go deeper into that listening because it allows you a deep sense of knowing that you're safe, knowing that you're loved, knowing that you're supported. It allows you to have that deep sense of knowing of which step to take. And it also has that deeper sense of, when you listen to your soul, that deeper awareness of your truth. And I think so many of us spend so much time listening to someone else's truth. And
I think that. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I think that's so true among lawyers, especially.
It's so important for lawyers to do that because I think a lot of lawyers got into the law to help people express their truth, to have justice, to help people who are in trouble or have been, in some way or another feeling lost or broken or, a judgment came across them unjustly. And I think when a person listens to their own truth, that reason why they might have gotten into the law expands greatly. And they don't lose as much heart in the system, in what they notice. And I think it will renew their faith in why they started their practice to begin with.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. I think that's brilliant. So, actually, I want to take a step back because I just realized maybe some folks don't even understand what a soul is. Maybe it seems like such an out there concept. Do you have maybe a quick way to explain what a soul is?
Yeah, I would say it's the essence of who we are. It's that eternal part of us. Soul language puts some definition and some shape around it just so people can have a little more accessibility to it. But, there's an interesting fact, when we die, and they've done studies and they've done measurements and there's certain amount, I think it's 8 ounces or something, or there's certain amount of matter that when a person dies can't be accounted for. The weight is off. Even after they measure all of the stuff of complications of what happens when you die, there's still a small amount that cannot be justified where it goes, which is really fascinating that science has done that, right? And so there's this energetic mass in our body. It's that life force. It's what propels us forward. So that's some tangibility around soul. But I really think it's important for people to define for themselves what they call their soul. Some people can focus on the heart, right? But I consider it that energy that's infinite and internal.
I love it. And that makes a lot of sense. And I think everybody, what you said it earlier, there's a knowing. And I think that is a great connection to it. So today's topic is about how to listen to your soul for success. What can someone do right now to start listening or better connecting with their soul?
I think the first thing is to acknowledge when you have that intuition, that soul, that guidance, for whatever reason, and start to play with it. And the way I also suggest people do that is start to ask daily questions. And the simplest question that we can ask to listen to our soul, and I would suggest for people who are first starting to play with this, to do it in the shower. And here's why. Because when we're in the shower, our mind is focused on, cleaning and washing our hair and blah, blah, blah. So if you just set the intention to hear the answer, to get a sensation or an understanding to a question, because you're in the shower and your mind's busy, that answer will naturally arise. And the simplest question that we could start asking to listen to our soul is simply, what do I need to know today for my life to be more joyful, more sustainable, more impactful.
That is so specific and clear. I love that.
And then you just let it go. You know what? And, you know, for those of you that actually might exercise, you can do it the same way before you get on the treadmill. Okay, what do I need to know today? And really just start to pay attention and listen. So I've started a new program of eating. A couple of years ago, I went on paleo, and now I'm kind of doing a modified paleo. And my body loves it. But what I noticed is, wow, I think a lot about food. A lot. And I'm like, what is that about? And what I really realized that is just a tricky way of me not feeling safe. My refrigerator is stacked with food, but I'm like thinking about, okay, so tomorrow I'm going to have this breakfast, and for lunch I'm going to do that, and what about dinner? Okay, so really? There's a supermarket 5 minutes away. My refrigerator is stacked with food. What is that about? And so we are constantly engaged in conversation in our head. By listening to your soul, you can suss out the useless conversation. And really start to listen to something that's going to actually transform your life. Because honestly, Ann, wasting a lot of energy thinking about breakfast. So what am I trying to avoid listening to that breakfast is taking its place? And when I just have that awareness, when you have that awareness, what comes to the top is earth-shattering in a good way. And here's what I really want everyone to know. I think people get really frightened about listening to their soul or connecting to something bigger than themselves because they're afraid of what they are going to hear. And what we're most afraid that we are going to hear is this, and I'm glad we're on Blog Talk Radio because I can say it like this way. We are afraid that we are going to hear that we suck, that we are not enough.
Okay,
so,
this is huge. I need you to I feel like I need all of our listeners to just get this. Okay, can you just repeat that again, Jennifer, please?
Be happy to. A lot of us do not tune in and listen to our soul and our higher selves and whatever we call the divine because we are terrified that we are going to be told that we suck, that we are not enough. And so we are terrified of it.
Yeah, and it actually is it's making my heart a little heavy as you're saying it because as I think about the article I referenced at the beginning of the show and as I think about so many wonderful, talented lawyers that are out there that are, numbing to intelligence. I don't know if that makes any sense to you. It's like
totally
hiding behind your brain, hiding behind logic, hiding behind just reason, and not giving yourself permission to have this kind of experience. So I'm so happy that you talked about why people are afraid to listen to their soul. Well, how might a person be using their soulful gifts every day without necessarily knowing it?
So I spent 17 years in corporate, in marketing and PR. And people would come to my office. I had a staff, and people would come to my office. And actually, a lot of people in the corporation would come to my office, and they would ask me a question. And it could be anything, and I would give them an answer. Most of the time, I don't even know where I got the answer. I'd be like, okay, blah, blah, blah. And they'd be like, okay, thanks. They walk away, and they come back, and they go, oh, my God, you were totally right. I looked it up. Okay. I was using my master intuitive in corporate America. And I wasn't aware that I was doing it because it flowed so natural. And most of us use our gifts and talents in such a natural way that we don't think it's anything special. So the thing that people keep tuning and turning to you for, that's a gift and talent. And how do you want to utilize it? First for yourself and then for others. Because most of the time we don't use our gifts and talents for ourselves. Because, no, that's too selfish. Really? Why do you think you have them? It's like using a bus ticket and then not getting on the bus.
So, it's funny because you said two things that I think are contrary to popular belief. Number one, earlier in the show, you talked about how connecting with your soul, it basically doesn't mean that you have to just go live in a monastery and, chant Om all day. You can have the life that you currently have and still, be connected to your soul. And number two, what you're saying right here, which is, hey, it is soulful to use your gifts for yourself first.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Why, okay, so you spend a lot of time learning all of those legal precedents. If you were to get into some legal entanglement, would you not use those same precedents to support yourself?
Right. You would turn to those arguments. You would look for the right case law. You'd be able to, use it for yourself. Of course, that makes sense.
So it's the same with your gifts and talents. And now you get to determine what they are.
Okay, say more about that. How can a person help determine what their gifts and talents are then?
So you could do it in two ways. The first way is to take a survey of people you like and trust and say, okay, so what do you think some of my gifts and talents are? The second thing is, again, to start keep noticing what people keep talking to you about. And that's probably not anything to do with the law. So I bet that if people were to look at their law practices or think of their clients, there's a common theme that comes up during those client sessions that has nothing to do about the law. Play with that. Investigate that. So 10 to 1, Ann, I bet that when you were really practicing law, somewhere along the line, people would talk to you about not loving themselves. Now, they might probably not say it like that, but in some aspects, that conversation would come up.
I think that's totally true. I think people, even when I was full-time practicing law before I started the coaching business, people would always come and feel safe to talk about things that they felt vulnerable about. And I think that's part of what propelled me to do this calling. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Right? Major gift and talent. So then I would go, okay, how do you want to use that for yourself? So one of the gifts and talents that I have that I kind of was really appalled about is that I had one of my team members over here do a survey several years ago about some clients. And what she said is, everyone thinks you're really funny. I was like, well, screw that. I don't want that. What are you talking about? I'm serious. And she's like, no, it's actually a good thing. I was like, but I don't want to be funny. But I am funny. And I'm funny, and sometimes in a way I don't even know I'm being funny. Like, it's just so natural that I don't have to work on it. But it actually puts a lot of situations at ease, and it creates this kind of, when things get a little tense, this kind of clearing of energy. And so once you start to understand your gifts and talents, you can really understand how you want to play with them and what do you want to do, how do you want to expand them, and how do you want to bring that into your practice to expand what you do with the law. And to say possibly, hey, I think there might be something else I want to try, and that'd be okay too.
And it's real permission. That's what I'm hearing. Like, it's just permission to be authentic, authentically you, and not discounting any part of you, not avoiding any part of you. That makes a lot of sense. Now, what about, because we are talking about utilizing your soul for success. First, talk a little bit about how does this happen? How does tuning in, listening to yourself, using your gifts, how does that really lead to success?
Because I think that divine wants you to be happy. I think the divine wants you to be successful, and I think that you have all the resources internally to do that. So every time you deny that, I think it leads to hardship and struggle. And my sacred purpose here is about helping people deeply connect so they don't continue to suffer. You know, and it allows you to place your energy where you want things to grow. And so when you're placing it on talents, gifts, support, love, you are going to receive those things back to you. Now, that's not to create any judgment in you, but, you know, it's like when you plant a seed and you water the seed and you put the seed in the sun and you offer that seed some encouragement, it grows. If you put a seed just in a planter with no dirt, it's really highly unlikely that seed is going to grow.
Oh, true.
And so it's the same thing with success.
And this really helps create the environment. That's what I'm getting from what you're saying, that listening to your soul, using your gift, taking that time to sort of check in and ask yourself these pointed questions like, what can I do specifically to, you know, basically to improve my life today, to feel happier today. That's the fertile soil, the sunlight, the water that you're talking about.
Exactly. Yeah.
Got it.
And
got it.
Why would you have it if you weren't supposed to listen to it? Like, why would you have a mind if you don't listen to your mind? It's all about balance. You know,
true.
Right? You don't have a song. If you've ever heard a song with all the high notes or all the low notes, it's kind of usually a very ugly song. We need all of it. So, right? So it's a combination of, you know, that mind and that heart and the lovely collaboration that takes place. So if you're discounting any part of you, your song is going to be not so great. And that's not a judgment. It's just that everyone has this amazing, beautiful song inside of them. And so it's just about retuning yourself so it's fully expressed.
And I think that makes a lot of sense because, you know, one thing, for example, that happens a lot to lawyers is a lot of lawyers before going to law school are creative. You know, maybe they write poetry, maybe they're into drawing or painting or something. And I've seen this happen time and again where they feel like law school and then the legal world itself after law school just kind of crush that creativity out of them. Well, then, you know, it does impact your ability to how you connect with clients, how you look at a set of facts and apply it to the law. It impacts everything. So I think that's one concrete example of diminishing a part of you and how it makes the song, as you said, less appealing.
Wow, that just makes my heart ache that that they give up that creative energy inside of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is heartbreaking.
Anything that you've denied is going to cause you pain and is going to it's going to just keep rearing its ugly head until you address it. So, you know, if you were one of those creative lawyer types and you've been ignoring that and ignoring your paintbrush and ignoring your poetry, and you feel like your life is missing something, then I would really strongly suggest that you spend the rest of the night after you listen to this call being creative. And spend at least 15 minutes each day being creative, no matter what your caseload is like.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah, and I think, you know, lawyers also have that kind of healer quality, you know, that, oh my God, if, you know, there's so much pressure. If I don't get this done, you know, we're going to lose the case or my boss is going to be on my back, blah, blah, blah. In the grand scheme of things, we waste a lot of time doing those unnecessary things. 15 minutes of creativity will transform your life. It will allow you to breathe. It will allow you to experience what you desire.
So true, so true. I'm going to take a minute to just remind our callers we only have about 5 minutes left on this interview. If you want to ask Jennifer a question, just call 347-838-8719 and press 1. So, Jennifer, before we lose time, I think the work that you have created, Soul Language, is extraordinarily important, and I would really like you to explain what it is so our listeners get a better sense of what it is and maybe how they might be able to tap into it.
Thank you. So Soul Language is just a paradigm. It's a structure to put words to your soul so you can access it in a deeper way. It gives you words to what you already know deep down inside. And anyone is entitled to a complimentary session where one of your 3 languages will be identified. And the categories of languages are, so you speak one language in 3 different categories: your mission, how you feel that mission, and then your soulful personality, how your soul prefers to go through life. And in understanding that information, that will give you a structure to tune in, to listen more deeply. It will also provide you an understanding of when you're utilizing your soul to create suffering rather than to create sustainability.
That's so true. And I want to tell the listeners, I have, as I mentioned in the beginning of this interview, I have had my languages read personally and for my business. Oh, can you mention that, that your businesses can have, so if you have a solo law practice or if you're working for a particular company, that entity itself has a language. Can you talk about that a little bit?
I'd love to. So we create a business to do something bigger first for ourselves and then for others. So that business has an energy. You are not your business. And most of the time people call in energy that's different from their own to do that. So we can identify that energy and put some structure and some knowing around that so you can be in a better collaborative relationship between you and your business. So if you own your own business, you call me up and you give me permission and we do that. If you're part of a company, that's a little tricky because we need everybody who owns any part of that company to give permission. But it allows, right? So that's a little tricky. But it allows you to understand what you keep putting into that relationship. So we'll use me as an example. So my languages, my personal languages are very action-oriented, Anne. I'm always, you know this, action, 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 action. Business languages are very still. They're very receiving in nature. So I would think of an idea and put it out into the world, and it would fall because it didn't have enough stillness. It didn't have enough incubation time. One day I'm in the shower, and I hear, and I'm bitching about, this is blah, 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 and I hear from my business soul, go to the beach. And I'm like, no, I can't. I got clients. And go to the beach. I like fine. I huff and I puff, and I go to the beach. I have a good day. And I come back, and there's 3 new clients in my inbox. Why? Because the business needs stillness. It needs pausing. It needs to receive. And when you understand those different energies, you can work with it instead of working against it.
Wow. You know what? I want to give our listeners just a little an analogy. You know, many of you may have heard of DISC assessments or Myers-Briggs. They all are sort of like giving you something to work with. Well, Soul Language, in a way, is like that. It gives you something very concrete to help you identify in a more meaningful way who you are, some strengths, some weaknesses, and I think it overall helps you figure out how to best utilize that. So, Jennifer, can you please tell our audience how they can reach you so that if they want to get their soul language read or anything, they can find out more?
Sure. That's easy. It's soullanguage.us. And you can contact me through the site. My actual phone number is on the site. I pick it up, and that is soullanguage.us. Yeah, I actually pick up my own phone.
I love it. I love it. So I know, folks, you know, I want to thank you, Jennifer, for just being here and being such a light in this world. This is not easy work that you're doing, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to bring you to light, because I think your work is extremely important and helpful to people. So I thank you for all that you do.
Oh, Anne, you know how I feel about you. You know, I adore you. I think you are just a ray of love, and, you know, I'm just so grateful. Thank you so much for today.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. And so, listeners, I want you all to, tell me how you connect with your soul. Let's keep this conversation going. Join us on our Facebook page. Join us on our LinkedIn group. You can find all the links through our website, www.esquirecoaching.com, and reach out to Jennifer. She really will support you. Next Wednesday, during our regular show, we will be hearing from Stephanie Gunn, who you have actually introduced me to, Jennifer, and she's going to talk to us about whether you have a book inside of you. So looking forward to that talk too. Jen, thank you so much, and I will I'll see you soon.
Thank you, Anne.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.